Ooh, lots of earphone being plugged in. Good morning.
Hello there.
Hello. Namaste. You.
Namaste. I turned the desk a little bit so the light from the window would come in, but does this leave me a mysterious figure with half in shadow? I could turn some more.
It does leave you as a mysterious figure, but that's okay.
How about that?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. We're just back from a little car trip.
That's good.
Yeah, we went to a couple different spots in Portugal. The old towns, for the most part, um, Iron and Bronze Age, then the
Mm,
Romans, then the Moors, then the Christians, and
mm,
12 in the 12 or 1300s,
mm,
then they were Christian from that point on.
mm.
And it's just amazing the depth of history and the way the towns were put together and all that kind of
Yeah.
good stuff. So it was fun to see.
Oh, that sounds nice. You
Yeah.
must have done some research to do before going.
Yeah, you can find stuff on your phone or
Yeah.
just read around. We were just going to see a few sites and find interesting places that we hadn't seen before, and
Yeah.
to relax and read and so on. But we
Yeah.
met a few friendly people and ate in some delicious restaurants, and
Mm,
we're happy
sounds
to
good.
have gone. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
And I've been thinking a lot about Shantideva, and two things
Mm.
come to mind upon reflecting, and the really powerful um, impressions that have lingered are the idea of trying to control external events and the
Mm.
analogy between that and covering the world with leather.
Mm.
And he's saying, well, just put on a pair of shoes and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And the other thing was the similarity between the mind and an elephant, a wild elephant, and
Yeah, I
how
was just
we
being reminded of that. So
say more.
no, I was just opening like the chapter of where we are, and then it was like, oh yeah, they were talking about an elephant. So I was remembering what we were talking about the last time. It was like a wild elephant. It was um comparing our minds to a wild elephant, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Mhm.
once once I see that that that's that's what's happening. Yeah, that the mind is just sort of doing its thing, and that there's no one really to control it. There's sort of
Mhm.
this, I don't want to say holding or taking a position, but it's sort of a settling that happens
Yeah.
that sort of just naturally but quietly puts the chain around the elephant somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
And there's just so much love associated with seeing you and thinking about you. It's just really, really beautiful, and
Mm.
it's just not stopping. So
That's
very
good.
glad to be here.
Anything that stimulates love is a good thing, isn't
Yeah, I'd say
it?
so. I'd say so.
Yeah, I'd say so too. So I have my book folded. I remember it was like, will we? Okay, it doesn't even show up because I have my fake background up. It was like, will we fold the page or will we not? Do you remember?
Yeah,
Like, oh. Okay, so it's folded at verse 30. So should I start to read there?
as you like.
So this chapter is Vigilant Introspection. Oh yeah, we didn't read a lot of verses. We read 30 verses. So it was about taming the elephant mind and don't let it stomp all over the place. Rein in your elephant. So, through fear and by the counsels of their abbots, and staying ever in their teachers' company, in those endowed with fortune and devotion, mindfulness is cultivated easily. The Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas both possess unclouded vision, seeing everything, all lies open to their gaze, and likewise I am always in their presence. One who has such thoughts as these will gain devotion and a sense of fear and shame. For such a one, the memory of Buddha rises frequently before the mind. I didn't know what that meant there. One who has such thoughts as these will gain devotion and a sense of fear and shame. What does that possibly mean? It's like nobody wants to gain a sense of fear and shame. It's like, what do you think it means?
What I take from it is if we remain vigilantly um, focused on sort of guarding the mind, keeping the elephant chained, um, then it will be easier. It'll be easier like that is the vigilance that's being
Yeah.
spoken of, and the supports of the vigilance are, I think, one of those is um, a little bit of fear of sort of losing your balance and falling off and going unconscious.
Okay.
And shame would be, I personally, I inveigh against shame. Not that I want to think of myself as shameless,
Mm.
but more so that you know, shame sort of as a guard, like a guardrail, right? So you're trying to
Mm.
stay down the middle path. You got fear on one side and shame on the other, and that you can use those. Listen to
Yeah.
me, sounding like he almost knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. I would like to have a conversation with him about his choice of words.
Yeah,
I
because
don't know. I
so say
can't
more.
get that. I don't know. I just don't understand it. I get when you said there, like maybe at a certain point, there's like fear that you'll fall off the path, but I don't know. Like, and yeah, maybe that can help you to be vigilant at a certain point, but like fear is never a good thing that you want to keep or that you would be saying, oh yeah, this fear is good. And shame is like about like to me, shame means it means feeling bad for being a certain way or something. So I don't know, maybe the translation wasn't accurate, or maybe it was just a way of expressing something that doesn't come across. I don't know. I can't relate to it as being good in any way.
Well,
It's not bad. It's not good in any way because like we all experience fear and shame, but it's written in a way as if it's a good thing. Like we'll gain devotion and a sense of fear and shame. It's almost
mm,
like the religious kind of thing, because I'm from Ireland, which is a very religious country, and it's like Catholic, old-fashioned Catholic. So um, they talk about having like a fear of God, and like it's good to have a fear of God and all. But that's a very
mm,
religious way of
mm.
thinking, and it's a way to kind of like control people and all. And it's really like I don't like it at all.
I hear you, and we have to remember that it's 500 years old, what we're
Yeah.
reading. So, the audience may have been different, simpler at the
Yeah.
time.
And the thing is, with anything, you can kind of pick and choose what you want. So, in the same way, like the things that appear in our lives, we give meaning to them. Like nothing, we've probably said this before, nothing really has any inherent meaning. So, at least for me, the same thing goes with spiritual teachings and all as well. If something doesn't work, then it's just like, okay, leave it. So, for me, that verse doesn't work. So, I'm just like, okay, I don't care. That doesn't work for me. So,
Mm,
it's like, it's fine, I just leave it.
mm. Well, he's getting to the core of it in 33 here.
Yeah. When mindfulness is stationed as a sentinel, a guard upon the threshold of the mind, introspection will be likewise there, returning when forgotten or dispersed. If at the outset, when I check my mind, I find that it is tainted with some fault, I shall be still and self-possessed, unmoving like a piece of wood. Sorry, I just had to do a big cough there. I didn't want to cough into the microphone.
It's like a bit of a silent scream there.
I know. Yeah.
So, to the extent that you and I think I'm with you really with fear and shame, but to the extent that you would leave those aside, I mean 33 and 34, you want to wrap my arms around those two verses.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And maybe it's always like that, like with any teacher or anything, like some things will resonate and some things won't. And that's okay. We're not like pushing Shanty David aside, just like this one thing that didn't resonate, and that's okay. And the same, like if we have any other teacher in our lives, it's not like that. We have to like be like everything they say is like amazing and everything has to be right. Like we still have to use our discernment, even with like our own spiritual teacher. Like, does that feel right here or not? And I think that's an important thing because I think sometimes we can get into like just almost like the same as what we get into with religion, like just like blind faith. It's like I just believe no matter what. So like when we love our spiritual teacher so much, it's just like everything they say is just like perfect. But like I don't think that's really natural or human. Like there's always going to be something that doesn't kind of resonate with us. Oh, I have my hand up. I must have a question. It's like okay. On Zoom, it said like hand up. I shall never vacantly allow my gaze to wander all around, but rather with a focused mind will always go with eyes cast down. But that I may relax my gaze, I'll sometimes raise my eyes and look around, and if there are some people standing in my sight, I'll look at them and greet them with a friendly word. And yet, to spy the dangers on the road, I'll scrutinize the four directions one by one. And when I stop to rest, I'll turn around and look behind me, back along my way. I will survey the land in front, behind, and carry on or else retrace my steps. In every time and place, therefore, I'll know my needs and act accordingly. My body shall remain like this, embarking thus upon a given course. From time to time, I'll verify, inquiring how my body is disposed. This rampant elephant, my mind, once tied to that great post, reflection on the teachings, must now be watched with all my strength, that it might never slip away. Those who strive to master concentration should never for an instant be distracted. They should always watch their minds, inquiring, where is now my mind engaged? When this becomes impossible, in case of danger or festivity, I'll act as it seems best. For it is taught that rules of discipline may be relaxed in times of generosity. When something has been planned and started on, attention should not drift to other things. With thoughts fixed on the chosen target, that and that alone should be pursued. Behaving in this way, all tasks are well performed, and nothing is achieved by doing otherwise. If thus we act, the secondary defilement, lack of introspection, will not grow. And if you find yourself engaged in different kinds of pointless conversation and curious sights, the like of which abound, be rid of all delight and taste for them. And if you find you're grubbing in the soil, or pulling up the grass, or tracing idle patterns on the ground, remembering the precepts of the blissful one, in fear, restrain yourself at once. And when you feel the wish to move about, or even to express yourself in speech, first examine what is in your mind, for steadfast ones should act accordingly. When the urge arises in your mind to feelings of desire or angry hate, do not act, be silent, do not speak, and like a log of wood, be sure to stay. I think that's great. Like he's just kind of covering all the different things that can happen in your mind and just reminding us to just kind of be a little bit slower with ourselves. Like if somebody says something that makes us angry or something is happening and we want to go to them, and then just like slow down and just like see how our mind is seeing, because I think if you slow down, it can be clear, even if it's still there, but that our perception is clouded by something, like maybe judgment or some old feeling of the past, and it's not really to do with that situation at all. So to just kind of slow down a little bit and not let our minds take control of our actions, I suppose.
Oh, beautiful. And he's saying that over and over again here in the next
Yeah,
handful of verses. Just being, when I hear log of wood, I think complete stillness, just
yeah,
still, unmoving. And if you hold the body, maybe the mind will follow.
yeah. And when your mind is wild or filled with mockery, or filled with pride and haughty arrogance, or when you would expose another's secret guilt, to bring up old dissensions, or to act deceitfully, or when you want to fish for praise, or criticize and spoil another's name, or use harsh language sparring for a fight, it's then that like a log you should remain. Yeah. So like just there's like an urge to do something, that's not ideal, let's say. So it's then like he's urging us not to do it. I really like that, because this one stands out to me. It's like to criticize and spoil another's name. Because I just feel like even in the spiritual community, spiritual teachers do it all the time to each other. And whenever I hear it, I just like something in me really doesn't like it
Mm,
at all. Like I don't see the need for it, you know, really. Like there's always going to be something that we're not happy with. So maybe, yeah, maybe it occurs in their mind. But I don't think by complaining about other people publicly, it's really any good reflection on them at
right,
all. I
right.
think it says more about them. And I'm always really like inspired by Muji because I've never seen him doing it.
Mm,
Like, and he's one of the only people that I haven't seen doing it. Like I mean, like the bigger people, that have kind of like a platform and they have many people listening. Like many spiritual teachers slate other spiritual teachers, and I just don't get it
mm.
at all. It's yeah, I just don't understand it. And so to me, that's what this is. It's like criticizing to spoil another's name. Like there's really no need for that at all. And if their name needs to be spoiled, like it's not up to us to do it, really, you know. At least like it's just an opinion in a way. Like that's my kind of way of seeing it. Someone will probably point to me and say, no, I'm totally wrong. But that's okay.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. It's wasted words.
Yeah.
Rather than spoil someone's name, we should
Yeah.
assume the log posture.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that we should assume the posture too. Totally with Shanti Deva here.
Yeah, there you go.
And when you yearn for wealth, attention, fame, a circle of retainers serving you, and when you look for honours, recognition, it's then that like a log you should remain. And when you are inclined to overlook another's need and want to get the best thing for yourself, and when you feel the urge to speak, it's then that like a log you should remain. Impatience, indolence, faint-heartedness, and likewise arrogance and careless speech, attachment to your side. When these arise, it's then that, like a log, you should remain. It's great, isn't it? That use of repetition is
He's
quite useful and good. Like it's then that, like a log, you should remain. Yeah, and
he's being really direct with us.
he is, and he's given a few examples, but I feel like we can also take that, because there's always going to be variations. And I think if we are introspecting and if we are in the practice of taming the elephant, trying to use the same language, um, then we'll know what it is that something is like trying to do something, and we'll know that that's when, like a log, we should remain, and sometimes it's difficult. And it's not that we should never like speak up against something, but maybe like a log, we should remain for like at least for a while. And then maybe after being a log, maybe there is something that's the right thing. Maybe sometimes it is the right thing, but it's just that not like initially it's like not just like an untamed elephant like stomping all over the place. So, like saying that like somebody could have an argument like a log, you should remain, like, what are you saying? Like I should never ever like do anything, have a fight about something, or like, so it's not really that. It just means that you're kind of being introspective and still and quiet, and you're checking where it's coming from. That's all it really means. It doesn't mean like you should stay still forever and not act or not do anything. Like I don't feel like that's what it means. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Examine thus yourself from every side. Take note of your defilements and your pointless efforts. For thus the heroes on the Bodhisattva path seize firmly on such faults with proper remedies. With perfect and unyielding faith, with steadfastness, respect, and courtesy, with conscientiousness and awe, work calmly for the happiness of others.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Let us not be downcast by the warring wants of childish persons quarrelling. Their thoughts are bred from conflict and emotion. Let us understand and treat them lovingly. When acting irreproachably, for our sake or the sake of others, let us always bear in mind the thought that we are selfless, like an apparition. This supreme freedom of a human life, so long awaited, now at last attained. Reflecting always thus, maintain your mind as steady as Sumeru, king of mountains. I have to do that silent scream again.
Okay.
I like that we are selfless, like an apparition. Let us remember that. So it's kind of like don't come in and have our opinion and our point of view and everything. It's like we're just like not even here. It's like Eshan said to me recently. It's like, do you know you can have a dream and you're not even in it? And I was like, yeah. So he's talking about dreams like asleep at night, but whenever he's talking about dreams, I kind of feel like it's like just like all the time. I was like, and then I was like, yeah, it's kind of like watching a movie or something, and he's like, yeah. Well, I just thought that was cool.
Right
So
on.
that's what this is like. Yeah, it's kind of like watching a movie. Yeah, everything is happening, but you're not really in it, in a way. Someone like, I don't know if you know that I was doing a creative writing class as in college. And whatever I wrote, all the things I wrote, my teacher said to me, she said, it's like you're just nowhere. You're nowhere. Like it's like you're not even there. Like it's like you're nowhere, you're nothing, you're nowhere to be found. So it sounded quite poetic, but from her perspective, she was kind of saying it as a bad thing. But I just thought it was kind of funny, but also like quite like it's kind of making me insightful, because in a way it is a good thing and it's true. So I was kind of innerly laughing like when she was saying it. But somehow like when people are reading things, they want to be able to relate. So it's almost like you have to kind of pretend to be here, but not pretend. It's like on some level we know that we're not this character. But I think on another level we have to be able to relate in a very human way. So we have to like fully inhabit the human. We have to fully inhabit the human in every way possible. So on a feeling level, even on a speaking level, and on a writing level, because on every single level. But yeah, still to not, it's really to not let all these levels, let's say, affect us. So I think that's only like maybe the initial, if there's not really such thing as levels, but just as a way to talk about it, it's only like one level to come to that point where like I'm not really here and I'm not really in the world, and it's beautiful and it's very freeing and all, but I feel like it's really just a step in our journey, and we actually have to step back in to the world. Like we step out. We step out because we're trying to escape suffering, So then we feel like, oh yeah, well, like it's not me that's suffering, but we really have to step back in if we want to be like a bodhisattva, because a bodhisattva is helping the world. You can't help the world from not being in the world.
Hmm. So the
Yeah.
phrase that's echoing on this side is inhabiting the human, and something
Yeah.
that if you're going to tell a story and have people drawn in and be benefited by the story, this
Mm,
inhabiting the human. And I don't
mm,
want to pretend I really fully get what that means because I
mm,
think it's something that needs some working with.
mm,
But I hear both your writing teacher and what you're saying about it, and
mm.
it's worth sitting with, maybe like a log of wood for a little bit.
Yeah. And me too. It's kind of, I don't know, something is happening with that as well. But inhabiting the human, it's like inhabiting the human is like your spirit, the spirit of God, like what you really are, is inhabiting the human means you're not pushing any element of it away as well, and it's in the language that you use, so, some kind of spiritual teachers and all, they're like, no, like there's nothing, you know. So I could have, like, if I was at a different stage in spirituality or something and someone said like that to me, you're nowhere. You're just nowhere. You're nothing. You're like, I can't find you anywhere. It's like you don't exist. That's like basically what she said to me. I was like, if that was said in like a satsang environment, it'd be like, whoa, that's like everyone would be like, whoa, that's like totally amazing. Like, wow. But like in that environment, it was like meant a totally different thing. So
Right, you're
just
going to get a bad grade. You're going to
yeah.
be judged inadequately.
Yeah. I don't know, just entertaining.
Right on, right on. So it's almost like the call is to inhabit the human with this same vigilance he's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like what we truly are is a Buddha, and when the Buddha inhabits a human, then there's a bodhisattva
Mm,
here, like, because that's how would a Buddha be in the world,
mm,
or how would this spirit, it's like there's an opportunity here to have God. I don't really like all the words. None of the words really do it, but like there's an opportunity here to have God act in the world, even though the whole of the world is God. So it doesn't make that much sense logically, but still it does. It's like there's an opportunity for the pure essence of God to act like through this body that's already belonging to God anyway.
mm, mm.
And that's inhabiting the human. And it just really means, like, I remember I used to live with a woman and she used to just say, just get out of the way. Get out of the way. Get out of your own way. And I said, okay, whatever. At that time. But there is, and that is a common expression that people use. I don't know if you've heard it. Like, you just have to get out of your own way. But there is something in it. It just really means don't buy into those things that come up because they inhibit the flow of life or something through us.
If you want to really brush it aside and you're going to use the word whatever, you have to hold the R a little bit longer. That's how
Oh,
it's,
okay.
it's how we Americans do it.
Whatever. Whatever. Yeah.
Just very, very pleasing to hear you say it, but um, points well taken.
Yeah.
Uh, you're talking about an opportunity here,
Yeah.
a human, which he's going to in the next few verses, he's going to talk about A, how rare it is, and
Mm,
B, how um, really useless the body is at some
mm,
point. I mean, at some point you're done
mm.
with it, and we're going to have to give it up.
I used to hear people like that saying that it's so rare, like you'd hear in text like this, like it's so rare. And then, when I was in satsang, it felt like everyone was waking up, so then I felt like, no, it's not rare at all. But now again, I do understand the why they say it's so rare, because yes, people wake up all the time, like probably like statistically, they're probably waking up like the same as people getting born and dying. Like people are waking up. But I think we get lazy and we don't continue. Like, so I'm just kind of like reminded that Muji often says something about like going all the way, you know. So I think there's something in that. So I think it is rare for somebody to continue and to really stay with the teachings, like year in, year out, year in, year out, like all the time. Like it's like this is what they're here for. Like thousands and thousands of people flock to religion, spirituality, all different types of things to try to be free of suffering or whatever their goal is. Sometimes their goal is, well, I mean, maybe the goal really has to be to live for God, like that your life is for God. But even in the very few that their life is for God, even in those, I think it's probably rare. Like, so I really do get now. I'm starting to get more. And I think the reason why I get it more is because I see how much dedication is needed. It doesn't just happen like, so it does just happen that people wake up because it's easy to wake up to the truth of who you are in a moment. But to live it is a different thing. And you do really have to like sacrifice everything and be willing to be kind of curious and introspect and all of these things, you know. So it just takes it takes everything, really.
The laziness that you had mentioned a little bit ago.
Did I use the word laziness?
Well, no, you said it's
But I
possible
probably would.
to get lazy. And
Yeah,
this just to bring it back to this chapter is a loss of the vigilance that the chapter's all about. Yeah.
yeah. So yes, so we do have to keep coming back as well to these texts and our whatever to keep our spiritual teachers in our heart and whatever it is that we need to keep the texts in our minds and hearts and never feel like we know I've got it now, because this is what happens, I've got it now, I'm not interested anymore. And then it's like you just continue on your life and you feel like you've got it, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, like 20 years have passed and like I have to go back and go to some spiritual retreat again. Anyway, what verse are we on now?
I think we're at 55.
Yes, 54.
54. Okay,
Can I read a few more?
please.
Examine thus yourself from every side. Take note of your defilements and your pointless efforts. For thus the heroes on the Bodhisattva path seize firmly on such faults with proper remedies. With perfect and unyielding faith, with steadfastness, respect, and courtesy, with conscientiousness and awe, work calmly for the happiness of others. Let us not be downcast by the warring wants of childish persons quarrelling. Their thoughts are bred from conflict and emotion. Let us understand and treat them lovingly. When acting irreproachably for our sake or the sake of others, let us always bear in mind the thought that we are selfless, like an apparition.
We're repeating a bit, but
Yeah.
it's still beautiful.
This supreme freedom of a human life, so long awaited, now at last attained. Reflecting always thus, maintain your mind as steady as Sumeru, king of mountains. If, O mind, you will not be aggrieved, when vultures with their love of flesh are tugging at this body all around, why are you besotted with it now? Why, O mind, do you protect this body, taking it to be your own? You and it are each a separate entity. However can it be of use to you? Why, O foolish mind, don't you appropriate a clean from carved in wood? How is it fit to guard an unclean engine for the making of impurity? First, with mind's imagination, shed the covering of skin, and with the blade of wisdom, strip the flesh from off the bony frame. And when you have divided all the bones, and searched right down amid the very marrow, You yourself should ask the question, where is the essential core? If persisting in the search, you see no underlying essence, why do you protect with such desire the body that you now possess? Its filth you cannot eat, O mind. Its blood, likewise, is not for you to drink. Its innards, too, unsuitable to suck. This body, what then will you make of it? And yet it may indeed be kept as food to feed the vulture and the fox. The value of this human form lies only in the use you make of it. Whatever you may do to guard and keep it, what will you do when the ruthless Lord of Death will seize and throw it to the dogs and birds? If servants who cannot be set to work are not rewarded with supplies and clothing, why do you sustain with such great pains this body, which, though nourished, will abandon you? So pay this body due remuneration. How do you say that word? Remuneration.
Remuneration.
Remuneration. And then be sure to make it work for you. But do not lavish everything on what will not bring perfect benefit. Regard your body as a vessel, a simple boat for going here and there. Make of it a thing that answers every wish to bring about the benefit of beings. Be the master of yourself and have an ever-smiling countenance. Rid yourself of scowling, wrathful frowns, and be a true and honest friend to all. Do not, acting inconsiderately, move chairs and furniture so noisily around. Likewise, do not open doors with violence. Take pleasure in the practice of humility. Herons, cats, and burglars achieve what they intend by going silently and unobserved. Such is the constant practice of a sage. When useful admonitions come unsought from those with skill in counselling their fellows, welcome them with humble gratitude and always strive to learn from everyone. I like that. Always strive to learn from everyone. I think it's great because I really think we can, and I think it's very important to never feel like you're above somebody else and whoever we come across, like interact with day to day, we can learn something from, or like we can be open to learning something from, you know.
What an innocent, open,
Yeah.
humble, really joyous way to be.
Yeah.
And he seems to be building that on the understanding that your physical body is just a temporary,
Yeah.
he used the word vessel. That's not my favorite word, but
Yeah.
it's just a temporary gift. You've got it
Yeah.
now, so I mean, take care of it, but don't get so wrapped up in it. I
Yeah.
spend a lot of time coloring my hair and styling it, and
Yeah.
you know
I see.
thinking about where it's all gone, and you know how I used to be able to just flick my head and the stuff that was in my eyes was just out of the way. And no, I'm clearly joking, but
Mhm.
it's beautiful in what he's saying here, and how humble and open and innocent and really joyous an approach he's
Mm.
suggesting towards life and people, and
Yeah.
that's built right upon the fact that the body is just a hunk of material.
Mm. Like bones and blood, and what did he use? He used some other word like that was in the bones.
Uh,
I thought it was good. It was like he was like totally breaking the body apart.
Right, right.
Um,
Its blood likewise is not for you to drink. This body, then what will you make of it? And before that, if persisting in the search, it basically you're taking the body apart, right? Divide all the bones, search right down amid the very marrow.
yeah, yeah,
You should ask yourself the question, where is the essential core?
yeah. Good way. Like you're not gonna find yourself in the body.
Mm.
Praise all whose speech is worthy. Say, your words are excellent. And when you notice others acting well, encourage them in terms of warm approval. Extol their qualities discreetly. When they're praised by others, praise them too. But when the qualities they praise are yours, reflect upon their skill in recognizing qualities. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
So
It's
it's like
very
if people are praising you, like you can't just take it. Like it's like, well, like they might be saying like you're amazing, you're amazing. So like to not just say, oh, okay, like I'm amazing because they said I'm amazing. It's like, well, hold on a minute. Yeah, I think it's good. Like, because yeah, I like it.
well. You demonstrated that when I said at the beginning of our conversation how much love I feel when we're together, and you
Mm-hmm.
said, "Well, any excuse to
Yeah.
is a good thing," and
Yeah.
very true. It's very true, and well done.
The goal of every act is happiness itself, though even with great wealth, it's rarely found. So take your pleasure in the excellence of others. Let them be a heartfelt joy to you.
Oh, I could put that on a T-shirt. That's just so
Yeah.
gorgeous, isn't it?
I am actually thinking of like making some designs and putting things like on whatever, there's these websites that you can get and you can just make a design and get it on a t-shirt or a cup or something. So like getting some, maybe I'll get some like words from like these kind of texts or something like that.
Totally. I'm your guy.
Yeah.
I'm definitely doing that. I mean, not necessarily inspired by this verse, although it's a great one, but
Yeah.
there's been a desire on this side to continue to earn an income and what would be the benefit to others of it.
Yeah.
So I'm headed that way along
That
with
would
you.
be
So
quite cool, wouldn't it? To do that
yeah,
kind of thing, like to have
totally,
that on a t-shirt.
totally.
Yeah, or a cup or whatever it is, poster. Yeah, that's all. When I have time, I hope I'm going to do them things. Let's see. Sometimes we have ideas, but we don't do
Yeah, I get you.
it. By acting thus in this life, you'll lose nothing. In future lives, great bliss will come to you. Wrongdoing brings not joy but pain, and in the future, dreadful torment. Speak coherently, appropriately, clear in meaning, pleasantly. Rid yourself of craving and aversion. Speak gently with moderation. When you look at others, think that it will be through them that you will come to Buddhahood. So look on them with frank and loving hearts.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
It is so beautiful.
Mhm.
And I think these things can come into your way of being. I don't think you have to have that. Like, I think that when you read it, it's like, yeah, that's really good. That like, so when you look at others, think that it will be through them that you will come to Buddhahood. So look on them with frank and loving hearts. So I think it can just become your way of seeing.
Mm,
So you don't have to like hold it as a memory or something, but just like that becomes your way of interacting with people. But like, I think that's what it is for him. That's why like he was able to capture it and put it into words.
mm,
But I'm sure he just does it. Or he's seeing someone. At least he's seeing people who just does it and knows that it's a good thing.
mm, mm. Oh,
Always fired by highest aspiration, laboring to implement the antidotes. You will reap great virtues in the field of excellence and in the field of benefits and sorrow. Would you like to read some?
acting thus with faith and understanding, you should always undertake good works. And in whatever actions you perform, you should not be dependent on another. The perfections, giving, and the rest progress in sequence, growing in importance. The great should never be abandoned for the less, and others as good should be regarded as supreme. Therefore, understand this well, and always labor for the benefit of beings, The compassionate one farsightedly permits, to this end, even what has been prescribed. Eat only what is needful. Share with those who have embraced the discipline, with those who are defenseless or have fallen into evil states. Give everything except the three robes of religion. The body, used to practice sacred teachings, should not be harmed in meaningless pursuits. By acting thus, the wishes of all beings will swiftly and completely be attained. They should not give up their bodies whose compassionate thoughts are not yet pure, but let them be surrendered when, both now and in their future lives, great benefit is thereby gained. I just want to comment that past and future lives is a very uniquely Buddhist
Mm,
attitude. And
mm,
personally, I don't know if I've had
mm-hmm.
a past life or if I'll have a future life.
Yeah.
But um, what I've taken that to mean for myself
Mm-hmm.
is it's right now. Right now,
Mm,
this moment is generating future moments,
yeah.
and and all the more reason to be vigilant and honest and caring. And
Yeah. And even like we don't know about future lives, but like having a child, I don't know how it is for you, but having a child, it feels really obvious that the conditioning that has been in my mind and body, like how I got brought up, like I can see myself, like when that gets triggered, that it's like I'm passing it on to him. So obviously I don't want to pass on to him, but like, so he is my future life. Do you know what I mean? But like if I am able to, I don't know the right words right now, but let's say deal with is the only words that's coming. If I'm able to deal with what's here in me, then I'm not going to pass that on really to him. And you kind of can't help it. So even without the philosophy of the Buddhist way of like reincarnation, you may believe it or not believe it or feel like it's totally true or it's definitely not true or whatever. It really doesn't matter. But I think just on a more even scientific level, like that we can see that we do pass things onto our children and then I'm sure and it goes right down through the line, but like we can kind of stop it or at least lessen it. So if we lessen our own suffering or our own like all them stories that go on in our minds and bodies, then maybe my child will have less and maybe it'll be then that his child will have less and it'll go like that. So their future lives, and even for that reason, that's good, isn't it? And it's not because they're mine, it's not because he's my child that I don't want him to suffer, but it's a possibility that like at least one person will suffer less. You know what I mean? Or like if he has a child, then like his child, it's not because they'll be like my grandchild. It's like it's not like that. It's just well, it's one person who'll suffer less and I can have a say in that, you know. And you're not even that, even that's a bit much because it's kind of using your mind and all. It really, it's really just like right now in your own being. It's like if there's some kind of something happening, like some kind of story or story of the past or something. It's really just using whatever you can right now to um not fuel that and to like if you see it as a wild elephant to do whatever you can do to tame it, and there's many different things. So I kind of feel like we all have what we need to tame ourselves, like in the moment. And even though we continue to learn new things, so I continue to learn new things, but maybe that's also because new different types of things continue to come up in me and maybe I need these new tools. But like in the past, I like it's like in the moment you always have enough to to deal with whatever is coming up. I somehow feel.
for sure, being a parent,
Mm,
or even, not even having it be your own child, just responsibility for taking care of another little one or
yeah,
another
yeah,
another being, that really calls out this human part of being a human being, I think.
Yeah.
And if what came to mind as you were speaking is, if one of my kids was, say, frustrated or had anxiety, that it was sort of up to me to sort of demonstrate um, calm centeredness, like,
Yeah.
to be that calm centered state, if you will, that
Yeah.
they're sort of struggling to find somehow.
Yeah.
And that is, and what, as I was thinking that, it came, oh, well, that's chaining the elephant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
beautiful is that?
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, for sure, parenting just calls out all of what is, I think, the core of this
Mm.
teaching. Really, it's to, self-control is the phrase that just sprang to mind. I don't know if
Mm.
that's accurate, but it's really very much the vigilant, attentive, um,
Yeah.
uh, holding that piece of wood to let
Mm.
whatever it's unsettled just settle.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. So I appreciate your bringing up,
Hmm.
being a mom. Of course,
Hmm.
being the divine mother probably has its particular perspectives.
We're all the divine mother, divine father, and divine child.
There
We're
you
all
go.
of them in different moments, isn't it? Yeah. And then in other moments we don't feel so divine. I definitely don't behave like totally divine in every moment.
What?
I admit, I admit.
No, it's
I
not.
strive to, but I don't.
Well, confession was a previous chapter. It's too late now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start from 80. Am I at 87? This buddy is very yes. So 87. They should not give up their bodies, whose compassionate thoughts are not yet pure, but let them be surrendered when, both now and in their future lives, great benefit is thereby gained. Do not teach the Dharma to the disrespectful, to those who, though not sick, wrap cloths around their heads, to those who carry weapons, staffs, or parasols, to those who are with covered heads. To those upon the lower paths, do not explain the vast and deep, nor tutor women unaccompanied by men. And every Dharma, high or low, expound with equal reverence. Those suited to
Women,
the
hold on a minute.
all right, okay. Let's hold
Hold
on.
on.
All right, rein it back in.
What's that mean? Nor tutor women unaccompanied by men, like a teacher woman.
Well, I think
Oh, I know it's old fashioned, but
yeah, I think the monks it's male monks speaking to other male monks, and they're
mm,
saying, don't be in an isolated space with a woman, just for perhaps out of concern that things could go a little
oh, okay.
sideways.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
I don't read that as women are unsuitable for the Dharma or teachings or anything like
Yeah,
that. Was that what your antennae were
yeah,
picking up?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
If that were true, there'd be huge, huge problems.
Because in the olden days, that was a bit like that, wasn't it? Like they said, like these kind of teachings are not for women.
Being a man, I'm not as sensitive
I'm not
to.
even sensitive to it, but the only I'm not sensitive to it, but I just wanted to bring a point that it's just kind of like an old-fashioned way of thinking,
Yeah,
and it's not true.
yeah.
Is just like, for anybody who might hear it and be like, "Oh, what?" You know, I'm not really like I don't know if you call that like a feminist. Like I'm not like into standing up for women's rights, no, not yet. Maybe I
Okay.
am. Maybe I am. I didn't know yet.
Those suited to the teachings of great scope should not be introduced to lesser paths. The rules of conduct you should not neglect, nor lead astray with talk of sutras and mantras. When you spit and throw away your toothsticks, you should cover them, and it is wrong to foul with urine and with other filth the fields and water fit for public use. One would say that that's just plain old common sense, but
Yeah, that's what I was
chances
thinking.
chances are Shantideva saw that happening, and
Yeah.
yeah. When eating, do not gobble noisily. I'm still working on that one.
Yeah.
Nor stuff and cram your gaping mouth, and do not sit with legs outstretched, nor coarsely rub your hands together. Do not travel, sit, or stay alone with women of another house. And all that you have seen or have been told to be a cause of scandal, that you should avoid.
So in this day and age, you're allowed to travel, sit, or and stay alone with women of another house without it being scandalous. So it's okay. But it just means don't do the things that you're not supposed to do. Kind of know.
I just love the whole shift in the attitude from the United States to here in Portugal. I mean, there's a certain
Okay.
modesty. There's a certain
Yeah.
modesty about the Portuguese people that makes
Mm,
me feel comfortable in
mm,
being around them, men and women.
mm-hmm.
And I think it's helped me just mature a little bit and kind of how I carry myself from having come here.
Oh, that's
It's
interesting.
also, you know, 8
Yeah.
or 10 layers more relaxed, just
Yeah.
less, more peaceful, I think is a better way
Yeah.
to talk about it.
It's amazing how it really is quite different. Like Europe is really different than America.
Yeah.
Like people kind of think they're the same because I don't know why, but like I've only been to the US like a little bit. Like I've been like 2 or 3 times for like 2 weeks at a time. So I don't have a huge like knowledge of it, but like it really feels like the culture is really different, like hugely different. So it's interesting there he's in.
We are right at right near time, and it looks like we've got another 20 verses or so. So,
Yeah, so maybe we'll stop.
okay.
Well, I fold
Uh,
my book again.
okay. Um,
What first? 90?
I just read,
Well, gobbled noisily, so oh there, 94.
yeah, we're at 94.
Okay.
Um, and it does sort of bring up the concerned that next time we'll finish this chapter and maybe we just need to mark out clearly that we're beginning the next one because it seems like
Mm,
an hour is going to get us through this one and
mm,
into the next one.
We can
Do you
make
have?
them differently. We can like stop the video and then start a new video
Okay, okay.
because that might be easier.
Yeah, yeah, to section them out a little bit
Yeah,
that way.
yeah.
Good.
So the summary is I'm trying to just kind of summarize what did I get from these few verses. Just kind of like be in the world in an appropriate way, isn't it? Like don't kind of misbehave in a way, like don't yeah, like kind of be polite and nice and be humble. Um be kind to people, be kind to the people around us. Don't really and I think all of these things are kind of obvious. But maybe, yeah, I think they are obvious, and I think they'd be obvious to anyone really who is interested in these kind of teachings. So, but still, it's good to hear obvious things, you know, and it's just kind of reaffirming. It's like you're not really going to go like and start doing like eating a bag of, well, you could though. You could. My example was like you're going to go on a public bus and like start like eating a packet of crisps, like and making loads of noise and like just shoving them in your face and all. So you could totally do that. Like I could imagine myself doing something like that. I was like, so okay, that's bad. Oh no. But even that, like I don't think it's really that bad. There's always there's always some room for allowances. Like I liked what he said at one part. I don't think we said that about it. But it was like you have to be very kind of vigilant and introspective, but there is room if you're kind of in a festivity or something else, where your attention you can't be so like focused and like that's okay. There's room for that. And I think that's a really important thing to say because I don't think we have to be like vigilant all the time. I think it's just like when we're vigilant like that, like a lot, then it just kind of becomes a part of our way of being. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's just like it's a natural thing. So if there's nothing here to be vigilant about, then like you're totally relaxed and you're kind of at ease. And then if something arises, like someone shouts at you on the street, which I've told you happens to me sometimes, someone shouts at you on the street, like maybe I can learn to be more vigilant in those moments. And I think it is happening by itself. I told you, like, I get really triggered when people shout at me in the street, and sometimes I shout back at them. It doesn't happen like all the time. Just like it might happen like 2 or 3 times a year or something. Someone gets really angry at me for cycling on the path or something, and they'll
Mm.
curse at me or something, and I'll be like, watch your own behavior or something. You know, I usually don't curse back or anything like that, but like I'll be kind of like really annoyed. But nowadays it's kind of happened. It hasn't happened in a good while now. But nowadays it's kind of more like I'll feel kind of angry, but I just won't say anything and just kind of keep going. But like maybe at some point it'll be like that. I can feel compassion for them. And that does happen also, I have to say, sometimes like that I can feel kind of compassion for them, or they're just afraid or something. Like sometimes, if like for example, I did kind of feel I was a bit angry as well, but also felt compassion for them. I was cycling on my bike and I had Eshan on the back of the bike. And instead of going, I could have gone on the cycle path and gone like cross at the traffic lights and all, but instead I cycled around the roundabout with the traffic, which you're allowed to do, like. But I did it, and this woman like shouted out the window at me, like, "You should be on the cycle path." I don't know if she cursed or what, but I kind of felt like, oh, she's just afraid. Like she's afraid she's gonna knock into me, and she sees a child on the bike or something. So I think, yeah, like I don't know if that's vigilance, but it can kind of become into your way of being a bit more that you don't have to think about it, but it'll just kind of naturally happen. I don't know
This
if it's a great
attitude of
example or not,
no, 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 no.
but
I get it because you're at the same time while dealing with the intensity,
yeah,
you're also finding a way to have some compassion. Okay,
yeah,
it's a safety thing. She's
yeah,
ultimately trying to, guilt me into
yeah,
into riding differently. And
yeah,
uh, from my perspective, if you got your helmet on, you're being careful. It's all good.
yeah,
Um, for me, it's this. What's common is this more relaxed attitude of trying to feel my heart when I'm around other people, not give in to
mm,
idle gossip or take
yeah,
pleasure in the misfortune of politicians or what have you.
yeah,
And try to call out the compassion and good qualities that I see expressed. And
yeah,
it's depends on the company, of course, but
mm,
it's self-reinforcing, isn't it?
yeah,
What feels good really does feel good, and you can just sort of bask in it
mm,
from time to time. And
yeah,
that's been, I think, part of growing up, if you will.
yeah,
It's interesting to be 60 and now to really consider myself a grown up.
yeah. You're grown up now. I wonder when I'll be a grown up.
Yeah, well, good
I'm
luck.
40 and I'm not quite a
Well,
grown up yet.
I mean, don't be in such a hurry. It
Yeah,
could be some good learning along the way.
yeah. In some moments, I feel like a grown up.
Well, anytime there's a little one around and I have a chance to interact with them, and it's very, very seldom these days.
Mm, yeah,
Um, I feel like, oh, okay, there's a chance to, to exercise the vigilance sort of on their
mm,
behalf, if you will.
yeah, yeah. Mm,
So I just want to say my gratitude for
mm,
all the love that's bubbling up when I think about Amba. And just like you said, there's
mm,
no bad reason for
mm,
having those feelings
yeah.
bubble up and get felt. So
I wish I could take credit for that, but unfortunately, I can't. I can't take credit for that at all. Because if I was doing it, I would do it in everybody.
ah,
It's like I'll give love to you, everybody, but I can't do it, so it must come just from the person themselves.
well,
Yeah.
wherever it's coming from, it's beautiful, and I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah. I'm really grateful for our time together. I really enjoy our companionship,
Me too.
our talking about
Yeah,
Buddha. Buddha in whatever form he comes. Sometimes he comes as Ribu, sometimes he comes as Bodhisattva.
yeah.
He can come as anything. Sometimes he comes as Stephen Mukta.
I'm gonna pull out that special T-shirt quality verse, and I'll put it in the
Oh
chat.
yeah, do. That would be great. Go. Okay, thank you. I wish you a wonderful weekend.
Till next time.
Yeah. What do Buddhists say? You know, like namaste is kind of very like Indian thing, but is there a Buddhist thing that they say?
I have to find out.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they say something like, but that maybe that's just hello. I don't know what it means. They say something like Tashi Delek or something. Don't know what that meant.
Mm,
Yeah, we'll have to find out
okay.
so we can play Buddhist. Okay.
It's the best. See you soon.